go start with it simply because, it was brought to my attention. So, my children basically said that, that a lot of things that they have as far as interaction with males or with females, they saw based on their parents, the relationship that they may have with me, mother and daughter, or mother and son. They somehow, some of these interactions and things that they, how they reacted to something from me. So if they basically saw that their parents were arguing all the time, and once they were arguing, the next step was to say, well, just get out, go away, don't talk to me anymore. They also took on these habits when they had interactions with men or with other women.
No, I see what you're saying on that too. That's, to me, that I think it does. I think it does tremendously, especially because I feel like a lot of my relationship, my parents got divorced when I was in 8th grade. My sons I got divorced when my son was in the 8th grade. Is, Kashari and Kasim, my children, and me and Shaipu's life is, to me, very parallel. But I feel like I did a really good job of giving them a much better life, like financially and otherwise, and more experiences than we had when we were growing up. But I do see some extreme parallels between Shaipu and me and Kasim and Kashari. I just feel like there's not bad parallels, honestly, but they're similar to me.
And do you think that, like you taking Kashari out on, daddy-daughter dates, you guys going to the opera, do you think that this is type of interaction was brought to my attention? So, my children basically said that, that a lot of things that they have as far as interaction with males or with females, they saw based on their parents, the relationship that they may have with me, mother and daughter, or mother and son. They somehow, some of these interactions and things that they, how they reacted to something from me. So if they basically saw that their parents were arguing all the time, and once they were arguing, the next step was to say, well, just get out, go away, don't talk to me anymore. They also took on these habits when they had interactions with men or with other women.
No, I see what you're saying on that too. That's, to me, that I think it does. I think it does tremendously, especially because I feel like a lot of my relationship, my parents got divorced when I was in 8th grade. My sons I got divorced when my son was in the 8th grade. Is, Kashari and Kasim, my children, and me and Shaipu's life is, to me, very parallel. But I feel like I did a really good job of giving them a much better life, like financially and otherwise, and more experiences than we had when we were growing up. But I do see some extreme parallels between Shaipu and me and Kasim and Kashari. I just feel like there's not bad parallels, honestly, but they're similar to me.
And do you think that, like you taking Kashari out on, daddy-daughter dates, you guys going to the opera, do you think that this is type of interaction also says what type of interaction she wants from a male, what type of interaction that is she seeing, how you behave with women, is she seeing that same thing in the people that she chooses to partner with, or just male interaction, period?
Yeah, to a certain degree, I know that. I know that some of the things that she likes, some of the things that she doesn't like comes from me. So I like myself. I like me. So I would like her to see more guys more similar to me, but I know there's traits about me that she doesn't like and she thinks are maybe a little bit too abrasive or too harsh. So we open it up that we can have those conversations and I can see the differences in personalities in the guys that she chooses. So I know for generationally, I can see the benefits and the negatives. To a certain degree, I feel like I parroted some of the stuff from my parents into our life, but you know, I made the decision to be with the woman I chose to be with and have a family and children at a very, very, very young age. And that was the tradition at that point in society or in the people that I saw. That's how I know that when I looked at other people, they were doing the same things. So I feel like I elevated as best I could. It may have not worked out the way I wanted it to, but I elevated the situation as best I could. And if I could do it again, I don't know exactly what I would change because the result still is two really good kids. You know,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. My daughters, they have expectations in the men that they date because I was such a good dad to them and I respected them. I showed them how a man should treat them. And so they like Sierra. Oh, I meant to tell y'all while we're on the same topic. Sierra's getting married. My daughter's
is she
getting
married?
married.
I
So
do.
she's
Really?
gonna get married. Yeah, she's getting married. So then she's
Oh
pregnant. She's
wow!
having a baby. So I'm about to be a
Oh, are
granddad.
you serious?
Blessings. Yay.
Yeah.
Wow!
So like, yeah.
Wow!
Like,
Congratulations, bro.
thank you, thank you. So like with her fiance Jay, he's a great kid. You know, she's
Yeah, I
dated
like
other
that
guys
dude.
that I didn't approve of. And I really like this guy, and he has some of the same traits that I have. So I don't know if she was trying to model him or after me or something, but it just ironically, she met a guy that has the same traits as her dad, you know. So
That's
I
what's
don't
up.
know, but Alex's boyfriend, he's kind of different from me, but he still is a very respectful young man. He's a different race, so he's, you know, but he treats her the same way, everything, all the respect in the world. But I think a lot was taught to me because my dad wasn't such a great man toward my mother. He was very abusive and a lot of things about my dad a lot of people didn't know. And so I think that's what made me to be the person or to teach me things that as far as respecting women and all the things that I do for women is because of the way my dad treated my mother. My dad didn't want my mother ever doing anything. And when she did, she was abused. So I'm the total opposite. That's what we're talking about earlier as far as women. I want to be women to be successful, everything, because I watched my mom from work through college while she had a full-time job, while she had me. She was doing all the things while my dad was just doing his damn thing, whatever he wanted to do. And then when she tried to do anything extra, she was abused for it. So that's the reason why I am the way I am. So it kind of, it does affect you in your relationships and in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Makes me respect women a lot more. Let me say I'm a lot softer toward women because of that.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
Do you think you having daughters help that perspective or?
no, I think it was just because of my mom
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and my mother hid a lot of people that my dad was doing. So
okay, yeah.
I think I got a lot of. I'm not as. I don't know if I'm as soft as you, but I definitely think that seeing experiences from my my sisters and whatnot and all those kind of things. You know, I there is almost nothing a woman could do to make me go there with it. So I think I'm sure my daughter has seen the changes in me since I've been divorced, but the changes are not negative. They're just being more assuring her that that a man should have a standard and should have some expectations
right.
for a certain type of woman. You can't do too much, without being there's consequences that you may not want to live under. You know what I mean? So it is a hard thing to be a good example. But I'm proud of the example I've given to my daughter for sure. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Now, is that the same example that you say for your son?
No, because I throw my son out there to the wolves. You know what I mean? A little bit. My son is right now. He at work right now. You know, I let him walk to work and go do what he has to. I kind of give him I think he watches me more because I think men really, Kasim acts a lot like me. And he is a more calm me. I think I'm much calmer than Pops. Y'all know. I think I'm way calmer than him, but I have some of his traits. And Kasim is even calmer on the same ratio than me. Kasim is very laid back, but he has a strong opinion. He has some of the similar strong opinions that I have, and he only brings them out when he has to. He's not going to interject unless it's necessary. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think he's a good kid, and I think by far better than I was when I was his age, by far. You know, so that's all I can say about that. You know, Kasim is almost like an 8th grader. He like an eight, maybe a 10th grader. He's mature as he can be responsible, but man, the stuff he does, he want me to go drop him and his little girlfriend off on a date and stuff like that. He ain't even doing none of that stuff for himself. So it's different, you know. But that's
Well,
good.
I have my 18-year-old son staring me right in the face as I speak, so I have to be a little bit careful about what I say. But it's interesting that this is so I think the question was supposed to be how we perceive ourselves as parents in relation to our own parents. But it's interesting for me to hear you guys talk about your children, because obviously that's your perspective on your children. I would be very interested to hear what they say about the same, like how they would answer the same question. But for me, I have to say, my mom, for me, and I love her very much, but she was for me an example of what I did not want to be as a spouse, and as in the choices that she made for who she married. I didn't want the same kind of man that she chose, and I didn't want to live the same life that she lived. So she was in a lot of ways my inspiration of what not to do. She was more of what I ain't gonna do that, including starting with saying, well, I ain't gonna have any children young, because I felt like having children young forced you to kind of accept things about life that were counter to maybe what your goals were, and to be so young and then have to be a parent young and shift your whole goals and your whole life. I watched my mom and I said, I don't want that for me. So because I saw that and I made that choice and made that conscious decision, I didn't even have my first child. He was born, and 2 months later I turned 31 years old. So because I had kids later in life, I feel like that was directly influenced by watching my mother, who had children very, very young and made choices to get married very young to the fathers of her children. And I feel like I wanted to allow myself to have other choices before I had children.
Right. And I think that's the same way I felt about as far as my dad, the same way. I don't want to be anything to my dad. I love my dad to death, but I don't want to be any damn thing that he was, you know what I mean? He was a great guy, but he had a lot of bad traits. And y'all grandfather would tell you, and he used to cuss all the time about my father. And he'd get to cussing and going crazy. And Granddaddy made sure that I knew I didn't want to be like my father.
Right.
Yeah, that's facts.
So go ahead, Shampoo or David or somebody. Go ahead.
I don't even know the question. I came in late.
I would say for myself, it is a lot similar to Kenya's. I mean, growing up in the younger heap of the team, there was a lot that I didn't know growing up. But as I got a little older, became a teenager, my eyes got a little more open and wiser. I initially recognized the traits that I did not want to be.
Keep going.
Okay.
I initially recognized the type of man that I did not want to be with. And even though I found my spouse at a very young age, He's completely different than what my father was. And I guess we're kind of awaiting this to us and what we've seen out of our parents. But I think for me, speaking for myself and my household and our children, what me and my husband try to do daily is display the type of relationship that we want our children to have. And you can ask Kai. Kai will mention all the time. I think you guys have, well, I don't ever want to have kids, and I don't know if I ever want to get married. I think you guys have set a great example for us as to looking for what's best for us. And I think that's big when it is expressed more as, yeah, your dad may not be your type of cup of tea in the future, but look for what's best for you. And I think after, hearing things and seeing some things from our parents in childhood, I think what stood out for me most is what I didn't want versus what I did like from it. So.
Real talk, I want to give y'all some praise on that, because I actually say that, the example that I see from you and David, just being cuddly and lovey towards each other, is a great thing. I mean,
Amen.
That's something that, I can say right now, I believe that I had a great business partnership. Me and Chrissy could get shit done, but the affection and stuff was not there the way it should be. And, even through hard times that I've noticed from you guys, you still have that. No matter what's going on, you still can do that. And that is a skill that I definitely didn't learn from my parents. I know you didn't learn from our parents. I don't know where you got it from. So it's pretty interesting.
I honestly learned it from him, because when we had hard times, or even when there's times when I'm pissed at him right now, he understands 100% that my love language is touch. And even though I don't want this nigga to touch me, he'll come and hug me anyway. Or and he recognizes that even though I'm mad, that's what I need. And I try to do the same for him.
That is so beautiful. I have to second what
It
Kasim said. I really do admire your marriage, and I do think that what you guys have is beautiful, and it's definitely setting a good example, not only for your children, but I don't know if you realize how much of an example you guys set for the rest of us as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, because I look at you and I see what I want, which is I want a partner that is really, truly my friend. You guys really, truly like each other, like being with each other, like being around each other. You're not getting married because you have children together, or because you both trying to be some super power couple and get into money and politics. You really are friends. And that people, I think, take for granted that is really one of the basic great foundations of a good marriage, is a true friendship. Y'all, if you truly want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you gotta like them enough to want to spend a lot of time, a lot of quality time with that person.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people
don't
who
like
get
them,
married,
like you said,
Yeah.
and
See,
I feel like a lot of people who get married for other reasons and don't have that friendship there, when all of the other things, what happens once you've raised the kids, or you've accomplished the goals that you want to accomplish, and then you're looking at this person and you don't even want to spend it with them. You don't want to. So to me, that's what's beautiful about you guys, and I think that's what a lot of people see that is very encouraging, because we know it can exist because we see it.
Yeah. We are surrounded by it.
It's a good thing. Yeah. I was just in a 9-year relationship with somebody, which was a great person. She was wonderful. We were just like, we didn't have a lot in common, and so it just didn't work. And to see y'all last as long as y'all did, and the way y'all, just the way everything is for y'all, man, I'm very proud of y'all, for real. Very proud of y'all. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely something that's prior to. So
that long, honestly. Yep, definitely.
They looking at you like these niggas really don't know. They don't know what it is.
But you
I
know,
can't see
you
it,
always
so I'm
gonna, you
ready.
always gonna,
Right now.
I mean, you always gonna have problems, but you gotta know, you gotta know how to work it out. You know what I mean? You gotta know how to work it out. And a lot of people don't stick in there and fight it out to work it out. They just want to give up on the first bus. You know what I mean? Going past or cheat with the first nigga they see. Excuse me, my friends, first brother they or sister they see. They want to go cheat with them real fast, and it's all over. And then they mess up the kids' life. They mess up everybody's lives. You know, realize one little mistake, laying down in the bed with one time, can destroy years and years of hardship and hard work and the kids, and then you got counseling. It's just a lot to it. People don't realize when you do that. And so
You're right, and that's taught. All of us have seen, maybe not physically seen, but seen where our parents have made bad decisions with their relationship that have impacted us as children. And
Yep.
you gotta actively say that that's not what I want to do. I love this person enough to say that that is not what I want to do. And to be honest enough that if that at some point in your life, if that shit changes, if you don't feel that same way, to honestly communicate that with the person that you are with. And honestly communicate that in whatever way with your children. Honestly, it'll be easier if it's not a whole bunch of surprise and sneaks and bullshit. And we strive on being honest with each other, period. I mean, sometimes the honesty is real in the mug, but we recognize that if we want to continue in this, then we need to continue that honesty and continue to need to do what we need to do to make each other happy or work towards this partnership together.
Okay,
So I just want you to I want all y'all to keep that in mind when you picking out folks for me, right? you know me, you know me long enough as your sister to know the kind of person. That's why I'm trusting you. That's why we're doing this experiment, right? Because I want to see genuinely how well y'all know me. I want to see who you're gonna pick for me. I'm very excited for this because if nothing else, hey, I have no expectations. Just if nothing else, this will tell me how you guys, in a way, it's an experiment. How you guys see me, right? Who you pick for me is partially based on how you see me, right? And what you think is right for me. So I'm very curious if nothing else even comes of it, just to go on this journey with you guys. So I'm good. Like I'm ready.
Woo, we ready.
We ready too. We're ready too.
I'm just popping up this time. I don't really say much, but I need to get to on my real and shit. I appreciate y'all letting me put this.
Well, we go spirituality or religion play a part. Now, I know that we all grew up with our mother being Jehovah's Witness. I see how it's affected all of us. No, none of us are Jehovah's Witnesses. So, but I do see some residual kind of things with Michaela or with Frederick that kind of pull them back towards that a little bit. So that's kind of interesting that they, kind of pull back towards that. I've seen Tasanji at different times kind of pull back into that. And I know for myself in business, I just kind of trust Jehovah's Witnesses better than other people, which I probably shouldn't, but I know in a lot of business situations I do.
Let me add, Kid was raised in a very religious household with Grandma Barb and Joyce, and David was also raised in a very religious household with his mother and sister. So we all come from where religion, at least with our mothers, is a strong point in our upbringing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to answer it quickly. It's a no for me. I don't practice or adhere to the rules of organized religion. So in my household, it really has very little impact on how I parent, other than any of the residual morals and values that I have extracted from the years of being raised by a Jehovah's Witness that are never going to go away because they're part of who I am. So, but those at this point are my morals and values. They're not tied to any religion. We don't practice any religion. We don't pray. We don't go to church. We don't do any of those things. So no, it's not a part of my parenting plan.
Not mine. I come from a religious family, but you know, I kind of practice Muslim. I'm a Muslim a little bit, so you know, my grandmother, my mother
A
don't
little
like.
bit.
Yeah, they don't like it. My thing is, I went to church for so many years as a kid and as an adult that a lot of the stuff that they talk about, I don't believe in. And once I started listening to Muslims and Farrakhan and my brother Nuri, I got a lot of friends I grew up with. If you ever heard of Brother Nuri, I grew up with him and a couple guys. So they kind of spread to me the teachings. I seen a lot of my friends that came from nothing and struggled. You know, they're successful now because of the Nation of Islam. So, you know, I don't go around and preach it all the time, but I kind of listen to what they talk about. And it really was the last two preachers at my mom and grandma's church that these guys were hypocritical. One of them was messing with a girl when he was supposed to be counseling her.
I mean, we all have had those religious, kind of issues. We all grew up. When we grew up, I know that I had a lot of issues with people treating us differently than other Jehovah's Witness kids. So that kind of threw me off, off they scent, but I still see the morals and the values that it comes with are good. Go ahead, continue with your thought, kid. We lost you for a second there.
Oh, I just said coming from a family. I don't know if you heard me, but a couple of my church preachers, our last two preachers at my mother's and grandma's church, one of them was supposed to be counseling this girl because she was alcoholic. And where did he take her? He took her to the restaurant, and what did he do? He bought her drinks. So it was like, hold on, you're supposed to be counseling this girl, and knowing she's alcoholic, and what do? You take her to the bar, to the restaurant, and buy her drinks. That's hypocritical. Like,
absolutely.
And it's a couple instances I could tell you about that. I could get into it, but yeah, I started listening to some of the things they were preaching, and it was like they were just talking and talking to a wall to me, basically. I wasn't listening no more. It wasn't touching me. So, and just like my father was a Jehovah's Witness. A lot of people didn't know that. My dad, he grew up in Tennessee as a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
My whole family in Tennessee, Jehovah's Witness.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised Mom would never mention that to us. That's interesting.
Right.
It's called bedside Jehovah's Witness.
Okay. What?
I said my father was a bedside Jehovah's Witness.
Bedside Jehovah's. Okay. Well, in general, I think we had a really lively conversation today.
Let me ask you a question though. Okay, so I noticed that you were saying such that even though you grew up in a spiritual household or a household that had a certain religion in it practiced, that you definitely each have taken your spirituality to a different perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
What does your children ask about that? Do they question that? Are they wondering, in a higher entity? Do they come to you questioning, God, religion? Is it real?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because both of my girls took, not my son did, both of my girls took religious studies in college. And so they learned a lot and taught me a lot of stuff that I did not know or was not taught at church or was taught as a kid all the way up as an adult. It's a lot of things that they taught me and showed me proof that I always questioned as far as being in a Christian household and questioned, you know what I mean? And so they're religious, but they're very spiritual, but they're not religious. They don't believe in a religion, but they're very spiritual. Mm-hmm. And that's coming from after taking courses in religion and all the things they've been taught. They see the light, basically. They see that a lot of things it smokes, you know what I mean? It's been set up through time. Some of the Christianity was set up for slavery to manipulate us as Black people in slavery. So my kids see that stuff. So, I could go on all day about that.
Well, for me, my kids, they've been to all sorts of different churches. They've been to the Kingdom Hall with Nana before. They've been to non-denominational Christian churches. They've been to Baptist churches. They've been to all sorts of different churches. And because of that, I think at least when they were younger, they were exposed to different things. But after, once I kind of decided, hey, this is not for me, I had to kind of stand firm in that, right? So part of standing firm in that is that, you know, as they were coming up and we weren't doing anything religious and questions would come up, that we would have to talk to them about why we don't practice religion, about, you know, them being able to make choices for themselves as they get older, but that the reality of it is, as their parents right now, we're responsible for their spiritual upbringing. So I have to sometimes make decisions that may not be the choice they make, but I have to make it because I have to be responsible for what the information that he's being told. So we had one little boy, some little boy at Xavier's school invited him to church one time. And I thought it was all well and good, but I was like, okay, but the parents, I've never met the parents. I don't even know what religion to them. They invited him directly rather than his parents coming to me and saying, hey, we'd like to invite your child to church. So I said no. And I think saying no, I don't want it to be read the wrong way. It was nothing against the church or religion. It was the fact that the way they went about it. I get it. It was a little boy asking another little boy to church, but that's not something that my child was old enough to make a decision about at that time. So he couldn't get himself to church. So because of that, it became a bigger thing for me. Well, I don't know this family. I don't know these parents, you know, and you can't just trust anybody. We all know some of the biggest snakes can be right in these religions.
Absolutely.
So I had to say no. And I had to explain why I'm saying no, because I don't know them. I don't know what they're trying to teach you. And you know, if when they're ready to invite us as a family, maybe we'll be considerate, but until then it's a no, and never heard from them again.
Anybody else want to make a comment on? Because I mean, there's, you know, those are valid points.
Oh, I guess I'll say something. I guess religion can be used for good and bad if you want, you know. We started off when we lived in Houston. We went to the church with our children just for some type of structure, I suppose, because that's what we grew up doing. So I did it too. And I guess once you take out the spookiness of it, I mean, you can use it for you want to read on your own or something like that. But I'm not going to know us as a family. I'm not going to have another man leading our family like that. That ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is, really. But, but that's what it is. But as far as religion, you can use it. You can use it for good. You know. You ain't gonna be all dramatic with the shit, but you know.
Right.
I agree with you all the way you put it, but I think the moral aspects of it is a hard thing to get into your children without church. That's the hard part, because I know with my kids, you know, I thought it was just natural to think the way that I think, but I know as I got older, I realized, hey, no, this is from the Jehovah's Witness stuff that I have these. Other kids are way wilder, you know what I'm saying? So I know that it took a lot, and it still takes a lot for me to explain to them why certain things you shouldn't do or you should do morally. But spiritually, they got all kind of questions, and they really becoming enlightened to it right now. At 17 and 21, they really, this is when they asking about it. They don't care, you know, at 6. You know, it's not an important thing for them at 6. But, spirituality is an important
16
thing.
seconds.
I knew at a young age.
All right,
you know,
let's wrap it up. We got 15 seconds. Everybody have a great day. We did a great job.
Love
Anybody
you
else want to say
guys.
something?
Kim,
Love you
Thank you.
guys.
good to see
Thank you for joining. I appreciate it.
Good to see y'all.
All Stay tuned for a BOB announcement. Need transportation? Well, Need Transportation is a CDL licensed and operated service. Its drivers have 18-wheeler experience from the mountains of California to the hills and valleys of the Carolina. Daily transports take place safely of vital organs, such as hearts and kidneys, respectful transports of the deceased, both humans and pets, reliable transports of DME equipment, that's durable medical equipment, and meds, wheelchairs, CPAP machines, oxygen tanks, and soon to offer passenger rides. And that's to the grocery store, maybe to the dentist or doctor appointment. We're talking the barber shop and even that beauty salon. Needs Transportation has you covered. That's Need Transportation LLC at gmail.com to set up or schedule your services. Or give them a call at 704-930-66